Lee Anderson is now being investigated by by the Metropolitan Police for hate speech. So I thought, what actually is hate speech? Asking for a friend. I'm Graniopteryx. Okay, so the Metropolitan Police is assessing a report of hate speech made against MP Lee Anderson after he accused London Mayor Sadiq Khan of being controlled by Islamists. The force said it had received the report, they don't say from whom, after the MP claimed Islamists had got control of Mr. Khan and he had given away the capital to extremists. And I have to remind you all that Mr. Anderson said Khan had given away the capital to extremists when the streets are filled with demonstration every Saturday and Wednesday, or whatever, certainly every Saturday, and the House of Commons actually changed a vote, ostensibly because there was a howling mob outside. Excuse me. It is only water. So anyway, the Ashfield MP refused to apologise and was suspended from the Tory party. This is the BBC website, of course, so they wouldn't say the Conservative Party. And the Prime Minister's official spokesman said the language used was wrong. That's an example of Rishi Sunak stabbing somebody else in the back, but he makes a habit of that, so I don't think that's in any way remarkable. Okay, that made me think, well, sometimes I do, you know, what exactly is hate speech? So let's not get into a twist about whether the honourable member for Ashfield said anything, yes or no, that met the definition of hate speech. Perhaps we might check what exactly hate speech is. So, of course, the place to go is the Crown Prosecution Service website. And here it is. Hate crime. The law recognises 5 types of hate crime, almost as many as there are genders. Race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, transgender identity. Oh, I knew it had to come in there somewhere. Any crime can be prosecuted, any crime can be prosecuted as a hate crime if the offender has either demonstrated hostility based on race, religion, disability, etc., or been motivated by hostility based on race. So they've got into his brain here, and he not only demonstrates it, they've found out what motivates him. So, well, what it appears to mean here is that hate crime is actually hostility. At least they've used that word in 2 paragraphs, so it must be. However, this is the law, and for a law to mean anything, it has to define its terms. So let's find out how the CPS defines hostility. Here it is. There is no legal definition of hostility, so we use the everyday understanding of the word, which includes ill will, spite, contempt, prejudice, unfriendliness, antagonism, resentment and dislike. Well, that covers the entire gamut of human emotions in most cases. So there's no actual legal definition of hostility. It says so here. Well, that's a bit discouraging, isn't it? If there's no legal definition, how can you apply a law to it? Okay, let's take a look at how they are applying the law. At the CPS, we recognise how important it is to effectively prosecute, split infinitive, but I'd say that comes rather low on the list in this particular piece of legislation, to effectively prosecute hate crimes. Here are some of the things we're doing to achieve this. We train all our prosecutors on hate crime. Well, that means they have indoctrination sessions, doesn't it? And they say, yeah, we recognise how important it is to effectively prosecute. Well, I don't. I mean, I don't recognise what hasn't yet been described. They say it's important, but they haven't actually given me any reasons yet. The only thing I've found out yet that is that hate crime is hostility and must be prosecuted because reasons. Let's see, we've got this. Perhaps this graphic might help. What impact is this having? Our work is starting to pay off. I mean, doesn't this look like a child's reading exercise book or something? Last year, we prosecuted more than 10,000 cases of hate crime. But I have a question here. What exactly were the hate crimes? And in what way does prosecuting 10,000 of them mean it's an achievement? I mean, if I say I counted 10,000 buttons in the collection of old buttons I'd cut off shirts over the years, just in case I needed them, in what way has that answered the existential question of why do I need so many shirt buttons? However, perhaps I'm straying into the dark forests of philosophy. So let's press on. In 86% of cases, the defendants were found guilty of one or more crimes. Well, that's wonderful, isn't it? But I've got just one question. What were they found guilty of? I am guilty of what exactly? I still don't have a definition. Perhaps this next bit will enlighten me. In 79% of those cases, the judge increased the offender's sentence because they agreed that the crime was a hate crime. No, I really am lost now. Firstly, what does they refer to here? They agreed. The judge increased the offender's sentence because they agreed that the crime was a hate crime. Who agreed? The judge or the offender? But they's a plural. Does this mean that both the judge and the offender agreed that this was a hate crime? Or do they mean just the judge? Or was the offender so cowed into submission that he or she or they confessed like they ended up doing after a Chinese struggle session? But what did they prosecute for in the first place? Or what did they actually confess to? The only word I got out of this was hostility, for which I would remind you there is no legal definition. So what appears to be happening is some legislators made up a crime which they cannot define, but what the hell, they prosecuted anyway, and then celebrated the number of prosecutions they got out of it. And, well, yeah, I hope that's cleared things up for you. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.